The movie Dead for a Dollar is a western and a thriller together. What are the good things about westerns? The fact that they can be shot for little money. Westerns require a minimum of scenery and actors. At first, the film doesn't seem particularly interesting, but then it opens up a new side and its perception changes. I mean the cheating wife Rachel Kidd, who runs away from her rich husband with a poor black soldier Elijah Jones. She is the central character of the movie. The whole plot rests on her, not at the bounty hunter Max Borland, not at his antagonist a cut shopper and bandit Jock Ribbons, and not the leader of the Mexican gang Tiberio Vargas. From the very beginning, we can feel some kind of catch in Rachel, and this feeling makes stronger as she starts to fool the head of the bounty hunter, Max Bolland. Rachel's explanation of her actions seems illogical. In particular, she accuses her husband, Martin Kidd, on infidelity, fraud in business, and rough treatment of her, though she doesn't give any evidences. Rachel assures that her husband cheated on her with prostitutes, and therefore she had to cheat in return with the black soldier whom she as a teacher taught to read and write. Meanwhile, Rachel should have known that men's going to prostitutes never been considered treason, since they are not participants in the marriage market. In addition, it would be necessary to figure out why Martin went to whores. Perhaps this happened after his wife got a lover, and he had no choice. Also, it is not for her to judge her husband fraud in business, because she doesn't understand anything about it. As for rough treatment, it would be nice to show us at least some bruise, a knocked out tooth, or torn out hair. Otherwise, there is nothing but her words, which may be invented. Without proofs, as anyone knows, you shouldn't trust any woman. Rachel also accuses her husband of marrying her for the inheritance, since she was from a wealthy family. However, this was a completely natural and widespread practice then. No one man wanted to take a woman without a dowry. No dowry, no marriage. At that time, people understood that any woman is such a big problem that a man ready to put her on his neck should get at least something material in return. But let's get back to the plot. Rachel tells Max the story of her life with a big inflection in her favor, realizing that this can be verified. Max believes or pretends to be believed. Rather, he pretends because he is a smart man. Max, in general, doesn't care. He needs to do his job and not to lose his face. However, he also falls into Rachel's web of lies. Rachel sets up the poor soldier Elijah Jones. She incites him to flee from the army, which is desertion or treason. She seeks his consent to present the case as if he kidnapped her in order to demand a ransom of $10,000 from her husband. She intends to leave her lover as soon as they get to Cuba. Rachel just uses him as a pack mule for herself. Elijah, who isn't very intelligent, agrees to everything in order just to gain access to her body and pays for it by his life. When Elijah dies, she uses it as an excuse to kill her unarmed husband Martin, which means she commits a serious crime. And it is strange that at the same time, Max Borland covers her up, offering the murder to be attributed to Mexican bandits. After all, he must be on the side of law and pursue any crime, especially since Martin was his customer. The version about Mexicans turns out to be rather dubious, given that Rachel shot her husband from a little lady's gun, and bandits do not use such a weapon. But it does seem to be worked. The film is based on the real events in which everything ended well for Rachel. She left for a big city, became a suffragist, and never remarried. That's where the feminists came from. It seems that the film promotes the idea of misandry, that is hatred to the man. It can be especially seen when the woman in the receptionist in the hotel for no reason picks up a dropped gun from the floor and with obvious pleasure starts firing at Tiberius people, although no one touched her. Even if Rachel's husband, as he says, has agreed with Tiberio that his people would rape Rachel and kill her, it still doesn't mean anything. It could be just words to annoy Rachel, so she had no right and no reason to kill him. Only a court can sentence a criminal to death, and certainly not some woman with a very dubious reputation. It would have been much more honest of her if she had simply divorced her husband and gone to Chicago alone. A lot of people would be left alive, but this path isn't for Rachel. She got out of it only thanks to her cunning and help of Max Borland. But others weren't so fortunate. Of all the characters in the film, only the owner of the farm and Sergeant Alonzo Poe, a friend of Elijah, treat Rachel as she deserves, with contempt. But the farmer does something stupid and dies at the hand of Max. And Sergeant Poe was unable to influence the events and save his friend. In general, the film isn't bad, although it is not a masterpiece. I can recommend it for viewing. Thank you for watching this video. See you. Bye bye.